I'm always amazed what healing arts can do.
Just doing my job. No need to thank me.
I'm amazed how easily you can move such a giant shield around like it's nothing.
Really? It's not actually as heavy as it looks.
It's really reassuring to have someone like you protecting us, though.
You know, I guess I never realized it before. But looking back, I've always been the sort to put myself in harm's way to protect those around me, even before I joined the Eldermenancia Guard. So in a way, using this shield to keep you all safe feels like it's what I was meant to do.
You don't need to worry about protecting me. I don't plan on relying on you.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if you do or not. I don't protect people because they ask me to. I do it because I want to, and because I think it's the right thing to do. That goes for you too, Dohalim.
Me?
Yes. You see, you and I both want the same thing. We have the same goal. That means it's in my best interest to continue to protect and keep you safe as well. Even now.
I'm not sure how much protecting I'll need either, but I appreciate the thought. I'm sure you'll do us proud, Kisara.
Right. You can all count on me.
Hey. Is it just me, or have those two barely spoken a single word to one another?
I know, right? But after everything that happened with Miguel, is it really any wonder?
Kinda puts a damper on the whole journey though, huh? How long do you think they're gonna keep this up?
If it bothers you that much, why don't you ask them?
Why do I have to ask?
How come you walk together like that?
She really doesn't beat around the bush.
You mean Kisara and myself?
You hadn't noticed? You've been practically joined at the hip ever since we left Vicente.
I guess it's force of habit, most likely. I was always ready to protect him, should the need arise. It sort of came with the job description.
Right. From being in the Eldermenancia Guard. Although, Dohalim's pretty capable of defending himself, isn't he?
Having guards doesn't necessarily mean the one being guarded is weak. No one's perfect all the time.
Even so, it's not like they're entirely wrong, Kisara. You're no longer in my employ, after all.
I don't know. I mean, if it's what she's used to and you're both comfortable with it, then who are we to judge?
But she doesn't serve him anymore. It isn't normal for her to keep following him around like she still does.
You know, she's probably right. And a lot has changed over the last few days. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rethink our relationship in light of the new circumstances. Perhaps I'll give it some thought after all. Does that sound all right by you?
Of course.
You might want to stop asking his permission for every little thing while you're at it.
Sorry. It's not that easy, shaking off old habits. I'll probably need a little time to get fully used to it. Why are you looking at me like that?
That armor you wear is standard issue for the Menancian Guard, right?
Originally, I've added some flair to it in a lot of places.
I noticed, especially with that open back.
We guardsmen pride ourselves on never showing our back to our enemies. It's my way of making myself live up to that. Plus, it makes it that much lighter and easier to maintain.
Dohalim, do you have anything to say about this?
Every guardsman is allowed to wear their armor as they see fit.
And you, La?
Huh? Why are you asking me?
I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help.
What was Kelzelik even after in the end?
Isn't it obvious? Clearly he wanted the throne for himself, and was gonna have his goons execute Dohalim to get it.
He had to have known he couldn't hope to defeat a lord. He should have run while he had the chance, instead of holding himself up in the palace.
Maybe he thought he couldn't run? Either way, the outcome's the same.
So he got desperate and decided to go for broke?
One might argue that he was another victim of mine, in a sense.
Huh?
There is no greater calling in life to a Renin than the crown contest, yet I refused to take part. The shock he felt at that must have been truly immense. Enough to drive him to revolt, even though doing so meant defying Renin hierarchy.
I know I've said this before, but Danins and Renins wouldn't coexist here if it wasn't for your stance.
But that was no lofty idealism on my part, nor do I feel any pride at what occurred.
Spare us the pity party. You literally just joined us to uphold those ideals.
Shion?
No, she is absolutely correct. I shall speak no more of my misgivings.
This looks perfect. Guaranteed to hit the spot.
Kisara, let's talk for a bit. Maintaining your shield? It's becoming a familiar sight.
Miguel was the one who taught me how to maintain my equipment after I first joined the Guard. Now it's just a part of my routine.
Your brother always seems to come up whenever I talk to you.
That's because we had no other relatives, so it was just the two of us growing up. He was my idol, the one I looked up to and wanted to be like. When I became a guardsman, Lagiel wasn't too pleased to see me at first. It was Miguel who really welcomed me aboard.
Lagiel? Oh, right. She was Miguel's second in the Gold Dust Cats, wasn't she?
That's right. She's always been a very critical and down-to-earth person. In other words, the complete opposite of a dreamer like me.
You're more an idealist than some pie-in-the-sky dreamer.
Even so, that's my brother's doing. He'd never let me stop seeing a brighter world. He always did what he could to keep me smiling and happy.
You must have meant a lot to him.
He wasn't just kind either. He always worked so hard to set an example for me and everyone else around him. He was a true big brother. So much so that when he thought I was asleep, he'd slip out of the house to go training on the outskirts of town.
You seem to know a lot about it.
That's because I only pretended to be asleep and would follow after him.
Hmm.
You know what? I'm at a good stopping point with my shield. If you've got time, how about I tell you a couple more Miguel stories?
I guess I'd better get comfortable.
I'll take watch tonight. It's okay. Before we go, do you guys have everything?
I always love the sound. Of hammers banging away.
Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
Brace yourself! This one's tough! You're finished!
Attack time! In a bind?
I'm not done!
I'm not so good with airborne targets.
Rising Wyvern! Take this! You're finished!
Pesky airborne scoundrels.
Sounds like a job for you, truly. Astral energy!
Say no more! Got it!
Well done.
Mirage!
Now!
Take more! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Easy peasy. Ha hoodle.
All right.
There's nowhere to run from my art.
When he slows down, that's our chance!
It's like trying to keep up with a wolf.
It's time.
Blow away!
In a bind?
Reload!
Prepare to be sealed. Actually, that sounds more appropriate.
Less talking and more doing.
You're mine!
Here. This will come in handy.
Take this!
Eat this!
Can't get out of this!
I'm on. Over. Talon Hurricane! Eagle Drive!
You require a hand.
Lightning Bolt!
Can't get out of this!
Here I go.
Here I come!
You're
Swallow dance!
Lightning Bolt!
Let's
kill him!
I'm not done!
Sleep now.
Take this!
Mirage!
Glacial Spear. Pierce evil.
You're finished!
Glacial Spear. Pierce
To be sealed! Can't get out of this!
You're mine! You're finished!
Do it!
Mirage!
Blow them away!
Glacial Spear.
Blue escape!
Thunderblade! Get toasty!
Burn strike!
Got some interesting moves there, Dohalim. I'm glad you're on our side.
I'm simply glad to hear that I can make myself useful to you all. Huh?
What's wrong?
We seem to have come across some rather unusual objects.
What, you mean that pile of garbage?
No mere garbage, I assure you. Still, I've never seen anything shaped like it before. I'm intrigued.
Are you curious about this stuff, Rinwell?
Yeah. I think he might have found some old Danon relics. They look like the remains of a bunch of objects that disappeared after the Renans first invaded.
And yet here I am, holding them without so much as a second thought. I imagine the sight must be unsettling to you.
Not really, just that it must be nice to be a Renan who has time to indulge in stuff like that, unlike the rest of us.
Are you interested in this stuff too, Dohalim?
Charmed may be a better turn of phrase. I simply love objects that can give me a sense of what their maker was thinking. the history that went into their creation. You see, we Renans have hardly any such objects that trace back to our distant past.
I still don't understand what you two find so intriguing about it, though.
Why not? We're talking about our own culture here.
I get that, but it's not like this stuff is any use now, does it? It's just old. Real old.
Oh, but it does. Holding it in your hands like this, one can feel and engage with the distant past in a way no history book can ever accomplish.
I'll take your word for it. Well, seeing as it's done in history, just make sure you're careful with it. All right, Dohalim?
But of course. There's history in the air here. I can smell it.
I don't... smell anything.
Don't encourage him.
Visibility along this path will remain limited for some time. Take care not to get ambushed.
I'm surprised you know the terrain here so well. Lords don't strike me as having... much time for wandering in the woods.
Sometimes I would take strolls along here when I wished to be alone.
You always did have a bad habit of disappearing without telling any of us guardsmen.
Oh man, I hope I live long enough to regret this. In a bind?
You're mine! Sword Rain Alpha! Rising Wyvern! Strike! We got flyers!
I've got this! Let him mark your hammer!
I can carve through all yours!
Hey! Blow them away!
Not a chance! Move it! Get Eat them!
Thunder field!
Far enough!
I'm not done!
now!
Sword Rain Alpha!
In here!
Dragon Full
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade!
See that?
That training's paying off!
Where are you going? Arc field!
Here I come!
Not on my watch!
Strike! Sword Rain! It's time! Do it! Rising Wyvern! I'm not done! Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
I think I'm getting stronger.
I just noticed none of you other Danans have spirit cores. Why is that?
Both of my parents were part of the resistance in Calaglia. In fact, my birth was kept a secret from the Renans.
Mine too. We always lived in hiding, so I never had a spirit core embedded in me like I was supposed to.
What about you, Alphen? You were a slave in Calaglia before all this, weren't you?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I don't have one. All the other Danon slaves around me did. I was the only exception. They tended to keep their distance from me to avoid attracting any attention from the soldiers, because of my mask and all. What about you, Kisara? Do you still have your spirit core?
No. I was able to find a good Renan doctor who's sympathetic to our kind, and had them remove it before I left. They did such a great job, the procedure didn't even leave a scar.
One of the benefits of coexistence, huh?
I know that once the spirit vessel was shut down, there wasn't much need for me to hurry. But still, I didn't like having that mark of servitude lingering on me any longer than I had to. It may sound a little strange to hear me say this, but I'm just me now. Not a guardsman or a slave. I'm my own woman, and this is my chance to have a new beginning.
This won't be easy.
Here I come!
Don't be such a pessimist.
Take this! Rip and tear! Huh? Not today!
I will heal you all.
Dragon
Airborne
Force!
beast. My
Here I come! It's over!
Why'd you heal me?
To stop you dying?
Damn it! Ah, right.
You're mine! You're finished! I'm on it! Dragon Shell! Take this! Sword Rain Alpha! Ready and ready! Rising Wyvern! It's over! Now! Hurricane Thrust! Ready to go! Do it! First strike! Here's sword! Take this! I can carve through one! We are freaking invincible!
Alphen and the others truly are strong.
What about me? Rising Wyvern! Do it! It's more! Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
I wonder if we can make new weapons with this.
This sure is one rugged road. You'd think they'd keep this at least a little better maintained, right?
Why spend energy fixing that which is rarely used? Repairs require time and effort, which in our world means slaves, often in great numbers. For you, it may be a simple request, but that can quickly become another's difficult burden. Nobody gains anything without someone expending effort.
And you know, somehow that someone always ends up being a Danon, while the Renans are the ones who gain.
True enough. Ideally, in a perfect world, I think it's only fair that the ones who need it should be the ones to perform the work.
However, when doing so could be dangerous like it is here, there are many who would prefer that it be others who risk their lives in their stead.
So, what you're saying is that people will just put up with the inconvenience until someone else comes along to fix it for them?
Indeed. And it is those who can no longer bear that feeling that inevitably take action. Much like the Danons in our group do so now. As strange as it may be to hear such a thing from the likes of myself.
It's true that most of the Danons in Calaglia have been resigned to just accepting things as they are. Still, we can't just blame them for...
What are you making that face for? You're not worn out already, are you?
Nah, just regretting I ever said anything in the first place.
It's so hilly around here. I can feel my feet getting blisters.
It's mountain hiking for you. It can be pretty tough if you're not used to these sorts of trails.
I take it you're comfortable with them then?
Oh yeah.
Brace yourselves! This one's tough! It's over!
When did I get so popular?
Far enough! You picked the wrong fight!
Get toasty!
Bird strike!
Right, next one.
Here I come!
Already on it!
The enemy wields arts too.
We'll soon see about that.
Rising Wyvern! You're mine! No further! What
Now!
Kisara!
I'll stop your movement!
And I'll stop your life!
Dance in the
No
wind!
chance!
Radiant
It's over!
Shattering
He's in! Attack time!
Do it!
Crush!
Air thrust!
Quite necessary when creating weaponry.
Oh man, I hope I live long enough to regret this.
Take this! Sword Ring Alpha! Rising Wyvern! True escape!
Do it! Get toasty!
Burn strike!
Right, next one!
Already on!
That's my cue!
Shut him down!
Sleep now!
Do it! I'm on it!
Kisara! Go for it!
Prepare to crumble!
Oh, magic!
My turn!
Crossblade!
Looks like it could be worth something. I have a bad feeling about
Here I
this.
come! Far enough! I'm on it! Talon Hurricane! Strike!
Raging Cascade!
Sword Rain Alpha!
In
Rising
here!
Wyvern!
One more!
Strike!
Get out there with
Talon
the
Storm! You're on! Eat
Talon Hurricane! Not on my
Damn it!
watch!
Too fast! Smash
Stand
you!
back. I'll trip it up. Can't get out of this.
Leave the enemy's arcs to me!
Sword Rain Alpha!
No complaints here.
Turn the tables on him.
There are still more left!
Right. No time to hold back.
I will heal you all! Dance in the wind! In here! Healing circle!
This is looking good.
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw!
Raging Cascade!
I'm jumping!
Radiant here! Now! Law! Get toasty!
Burn strike!
I need to be stronger. That equipment should come in handy.
More Danon ruins here too, I see.
What were people even thinking back then? Trying to build anything around here.
Maybe... They just had that much time and energy on their hands.
What? What's this thing?
I've got a really bad feeling about this.
I'm surrounded!
Here!
Rising Wyvern!
It's time!
You're finished!
Swallow dare!
Devastation!
Far enough!
Air
This
thrust!
one's all mine!
Eagle assault!
I'm not done! Eat them!
Hear me! Flame of fury!
You're mine!
Glacial
Rising Wyvern! Strike!
Watch this!
Dragon Swarm!
We're cleaning house.
Let me take the rest of them!
Well, someone's feeling lively.
Sword Rain
Now!
Alpha! Rising Wyvern!
Get toasty!
Burn strike!
Right, next one!
Consider yourself finished. I still got a ways to go.
I sure have built up a sweat with this hike.
Rest assured, we have reached the top. It's all downhill from here, quite literally.
So Mahag Saar's just up ahead then?
Indeed. If you look, across this mountain is the Lord's keep.
What's this place here? Some kind of old house?
I don't know about that. If I had to guess, it probably served as some kind of shrine.
So it's still a house, in a sense. Just for a god.
An opponent like this should be easy. It's his time! Rising Wyvern! It's over! Mirage! Ignite! Here I come! Sword Rain Alpha!
Where are you going?
We got the advantage.
Good.
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade!
See that?
That training's paying off! You're finished!
Armor won't save you!
It's on!
Supernova! Do it! Astral energy!
Say no more!
You sure showed them.
All in a day's work.
I need something to eat.
Got a really bad feeling about this.
Ignite!
How's this? Thunderbolt!
Take this! First
Will
strike!
this help? MetalHalestorm!
I'm not done!
Far enough!
Dragon Sword!
Thank you.
Why'd you heal?
We got flyers!
I got it. Let him mark me handle it.
All yours!
Get on in there with the
Enemy fields are too.
Demons descend! Flashing Fang! Easy!
Way to go!
This one's all mine! Not today!
Swallow damn!
Confiscated.
Devastation!
Do it! That's enough!
Look sharp!
Lightning Tiger Blade!
Get to
Not
the
a
win.
chance!
One more.
No escape!
Air thrust. See what
Mirage!
handles?
Sword Rain Alpha!
Sweet dreams.
So those are Ganon after all. Something you want to say? Not so long as you keep them pointed toward the enemy.
I think I'm getting stronger. I've got a really bad feeling about this.
It's over!
Rising
Wyvern! No
Sleep
escape!
now.
Devastation!
I'll be saving this
You're
one.
mine! It's over! Dragon Swarm!
Watch this! Flying freak! Look at me just sit still!
Saar, can you take care of them?
No sooner said than done.
Here I come! You're finished!
Far enough!
It's gone!
Can't get out of this!
Xion! Get toasty!
Burn strike!
Right, next one.
Already on!
Burn in hell!
Swallow dance!
Sword Rain Alpha! Dragon Swarm!
Glacial spear.
Astral energy! Full throttle!
Certainly not bad.
No complaints here.
Pow!
You're mine!
Here I go!
Only getting started.
you.
Got company.
Dragon
Not in
Swarm!
your dreams.
Sword Rain Alpha!
Swallow dance!
Rising Wyvern!
Do it!
No escape!
Chikara!
I'll stop your movement!
And I'll stop your life!
My turn!
Into the shadows!
It's over! Devastation! Here I come!
Our expert coming
It's
through!
over!
Eagle assault!
It's
Dance in
done!
the wind! Hear me!
Huh? You picked the wrong fight!
An astral arch?
That's my cue!
Shut him down.
Do it! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
See you continue on in that vein.
Yes, my lady?
Something you wanted to say?
Mirage! Take this!
Dragon
It's
Tail!
over!
Ready to go! Denied!
Do it!
Take this!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Hold up. Is this as valuable as I think it is?
Still thinking about how to act around Dohalim?
That obvious, huh? Except I don't think I'll be changing much after all. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to stay his servant. However, I am going to treat him like a fellow comrade, the same way I would with you or anyone else. For as long as I can remember, I've spent my life protecting others. But isn't that what friends do too? Support and protect one another in times of need?
Which in the end pretty much means doing as you've always done, right? If that's what you're most comfortable with, I'm certainly not going to give you any grief over it.
Actually, I've been thinking about how I ought to act around you all as well.
Oh?
When I set out on this journey, it was to rid Eldaman and Sia of its enemies, and search for wisdom in the outside world. Wisdom that I could potentially put to use on my return. I'm grateful to you all for letting me tag along. But it got me thinking, what am I actually contributing by being here?
What are you talking about? You know how to hold a weapon, don't you? That's help enough.
Is it though? Sometimes I wish there was more I could be doing to pull my...
Oops, sorry about that. Jeez, I'm famished.
Now that you mention it, what do you guys normally do for food and meals when you're out and about on your travels?
What do you mean, what do we do? We find stuff to eat and eat it. So long as it's meat, I'm not fussy.
Eating what you like can be good for morale in the short term, but you need to think about your diet if you want to stay healthy.
Does that mean eating vegetables too?
Isn't that obvious?
It does, which I guess hasn't been happening up till now.
Yeah, to be honest, we could be eating better than we do.
Understood. In that case, I'll just have to make sure you're all staying healthy and eating right myself. Fortunately, I happen to know a thing or two about cooking as well.
You hear that, Law? Sounds like you'll be eating your greens after all.
What is it?
No, sorry, it's just... I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on all this.
It will do her good to have a project.
No, not Kisara. I meant you. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Me? Certainly you're not looking to me for culinary skill, I hope.
Typical Renan, leaving everything to someone else.
Rinwell, I don't think...
That said, should you need my skills on the battlefield, please rest assured I have no intention of shirking my responsibilities, regardless of who we may face.
I'm sure no one doubts that. Listen, guys, if we're traveling together, we should probably at least try to make an effort to get to know one another, don't you think?
I wouldn't get your expectations too high in that regard. Believe it or not, sometimes I'm not sure I even know myself all that well.